Mark Carney went and met with President Trump in the Oval Office for this massive BFF reunion. That's right. Prime Minister of Canada and the President of the United States are actually really good friends. And no, it's not 3-4-5D chess. No, it's not a humiliation tactic. No, it's not the enemy of your enemy is your friend. It turns out that they actually are really good friends. They laugh, they joke, they have a friggin' great time together. It's all smoke and mirrors, though, because even though they are really good friends and even though they put on this very weird charade today that kind of pissed everybody off and left everybody kind of confused, it actually gets significantly worse. We now have information about our debt. Canada is heading into a $100 billion deficit. Yeah, that's not good. Also, the outcome from today meeting at the Oval Office is nothing. There was no deal. No deal was made. Now that everyone's left the Oval Office, everyone's left the White House, not a single thing was actually discovered or agreed upon today. So, yeah, we're going to be taking a look at that along with a couple of other things. All I ask in return is for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That's right. Brand new Canadian channel. It'd be awesome if we got over 1,000 subscribers sooner than later. And I need your guys' help to do that. We're going to start off with just a couple of clips that you might have already seen today of Trump and Mark Carney talking and laughing in the Oval Office.
A question for the President. Mr. Carney, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to know how come the UK and the European Union have succeeded to sign deals and bring the tariffs down, and Canada still hasn't been able to do the same?
Yeah, because they're not located right next to each other. It makes it, in many cases, it's much better and easier. But
yeah, and if I may, let's be clear about the relationship as it stands right now. We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we're cooperating, first thing. Secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the President just said, where conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
So, is the fentanyl crisis over with Canada, with the Canadian border?
Is what?
The fentanyl crisis.
No, it's not over. I think it's never going to be over, frankly. But Canada's worked hard, and they've done a much better job than in the past. We have very few people coming in through our southern border, too. We've worked with Canada, and we've worked with Mexico, so we've made it a lot better.
On fentanyl, any amount is too much. So we've gotten it down. It's down substantially. It's less than 1%, but it's still too much. It's too much at home in Canada.
A lot of people.
Yeah, we got to snap it.
On USMCA, are the two of you both committed to seeing it through in the renegotiation of that deal that you made?
Well, we can renegotiate it, and that would be good, or we can just do different deals. We're allowed to do different deals if we want. We might make deals that are better for the individual
What's your preference?
countries. I don't care. I want to make whatever the best deal is for this country, and also very much with Canada in mind. Go ahead, sir.
Sir, on China, what more can the United States and Canada do together to counter China?
Well, you have to be able to compete. They're a great competitor, and Mark and I both know that, and you have to be able to compete. We have big advantages over China for lots of different reasons, and I think we're doing very well with China. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to be meeting him in a few weeks, as you know. I'll be meeting him in South Korea. But we've had a very good relationship for a long time. But you have to be able to compete. To do well with China, if you can't compete, you're not going to do well with China. And Canada is very competitive. I can tell you that. Canada is a very competitive country. And I think Canada's done very well over the years with China.
Yeah, we have. But we'll do better together on that.
Mr. President, what is Canada giving you in return? If you say Mr. Carney is going to be leaving Washington happy, what's Canada giving you in return?
Well, you'll find out. But I think the people of Canada, they will love us again. Most of them still do.
But
If you say only 25%.
So after seeing that, you think that maybe they're like, oh crap, okay, they're good friends. Maybe they actually have a deal. It turns out that they don't. According to CTV, Trump touts Canada-US merger at White House. Carney leaves Washington without a deal. That's right. Not a single deal was made. Prime Minister Carney and U.S. President Trump have wrapped up a 2.5-hour meeting at the White House, with the latter once again hitting on his threats to annex Canada. He did joke a little bit about that, but it was the softest kind of remarks that we've ever seen. It's very lightening. It's lightening up. It's not as aggressive, I guess, as it once was. It was the second high stakes in-person meeting at the Oval Office between Carney and Trump since May, though the two have been in frequent contact as they work to hash out new economic and security deal. Speaking to reporters following the meeting, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc did not offer up any tangible outcomes from the meeting, but categorized it as successful, positive, and effective. Ahead of the meeting, however, Trump signaled he was optimistic there would be progress. I think we're going to be very happy, Trump told reporters ahead of the meeting. They talk about competitiveness. He's a very competitive person, Trump said, referring to Carney. And they talk about things that we don't necessarily agree on, but I think we're going to walk away very happy. I'm sort of an optimistic guy, said LeBlanc, this guy right here on screen, Carney's right-hand man. I said at Parliamentary Committee last week that I remain optimistic, and I'm more optimistic today after those discussions at the White House than I was when we arrived in Washington yesterday. From the beginning, I've liked him. We've had a good relationship, Trump said about Carney. We have some natural conflict, but we will work that out. And actually, he didn't even refer to what is going on between Canada and America as trade war or conflict. He actually said a business disagreement and then followed it up with the fact that that's normal, which is interesting. Then you have the Toronto Sun reporting that Canada's deficit is going to surge to $100 billion. That's right. National Bank of Canada's Stéphane Marion says shortfall will reach $100 billion this fiscal year. One of Canada's major lenders says Prime Minister Carney will push the country's deficit to about 3% of its GDP as his government pursues major projects and tries to attract more investments. That's kind of crazy. That's actually very insane. We are spending so much money and we're not getting a whole lot in return. Even during the meeting, Prime Minister Carney said with Trump that Canada over the next 5 years is going to be investing $1 trillion, not in defense, not in Canada, but in America, which is interesting. We have some fiscal room when you compare Canada to the rest of the world, Marion said. We should not waste it. Very interesting. We've been stranding these assets by not knowing whether or not we could exploit them down the road. He said, if you're going to reindustrialize the U.S. and the U.S. wants to reindustrialize, I can find no better partner than Canada. He also pointed to Canada's relatively clean electricity sector as a major opportunity for foreign investment. I'm optimistic that Ottawa is serious about improving the outlook, he said. Marion sees the Bank of Canada cutting policy rate by a quarter point to 2.25 at its next meeting on October 29th, but says that the central bank will likely pause its policy makers parse the details of the federal government's budget. It will be stimulative budget, Marion said, which is interesting. We're seeing Canada go broke in front of our eyes. But somehow people voted for this. They voted for anti-American prime minister and an anti-American government. Yet what we saw today was not anti-American. It was buddy-buddy with America, specifically with Trump, which absolutely imploded the minds of the people on the left and confused the people on the right, because Carney, again, said that he was anti-Trump, right? Elbows up. Turns out that that never was actually true. Carney is trying to posture himself as a conservative prime minister. but a liberal leader. It's very weird, very, very weird. We're also going to take a brief look at this CTV panel because Vashi does ask some questions. And well, I want to leave it up to you to decide what you think of this.
I'm going to start, Dan, with you. The minister is more optimistic. Is that enough politically?
Look, I think we saw coming out of this a sense of optimism towards some substantive reporting on progress out of the states, right? Like this, there was certainly a good energy coming out of this. There was a great energy in the room today. There was a clear mutual respect between the two leaders. There was a clear collegiality. I think politically, this is the place you want the prime minister, right? This is the place he was elected to be. This is the stage he should be on. It's far better than to see him there with Donald Trump, sitting together side by side, working towards some sense of relief for Canada's economy, given the turbulence we've gone through, than to have him in pretty much any other environment, right? So I think politically this is a good day for the government. I think they're probably quite pleased with the outcome. Let's be real, like they've sent him into the center of the three-ring circus and asked him to do high-wire acrobatics. And I think if anyone was watching today, they're going to think he did a pretty impressive feat and came out looking, I think, stronger than he did going in.
I think all of that is totally valid, Shakir, and very fair point, particularly when you analyze the prime minister, let's say in other environments on other issues like this one, like it could have gone way worse in the moment. And I think that's just like a fact. At the same time, I think something else could be true, that was a huge win 6 months ago in the first visit. And you can see how, given the shifting political dynamics and more pressure from, I think, maybe both some Canadians as well as the opposition, that might not be the exact same conclusion this time around.
Yeah, I mean, we should have higher expectations for the prime minister. Just setting the bar as if you go in there and Donald Trump doesn't rip you a new one, it's a success. That's not good enough anymore. I think Prime Minister Carney needs to show some level of progress. I mean, Dan said it. This was a central issue that he was elected on, to handle these negotiations, to deal with Donald Trump. It's great that they have good rapport. I'll give him credit where credit is due. Seeing him in the Oval Office, that was great to see. They get along very well. But people want to know what's going on and how are we going to get to a situation where either we have a comprehensive agreement or we have lower tariffs. Just continually saying we are making progress. We've had some Senate discussions. I'm not sure that's going to be good enough for Canadians moving forward. I think people want to know, is there a framework to get tariffs removed? Is going to be a quota system? Can we at least get Donald Trump to get to the position where he respects our sovereignty and doesn't talk about being the 51st state? We need to see a bit more progress on these things. And I think right now, I know these things take time. I know negotiations can drag out for a while, but folks just want to know that there's some progress happening and not just continually talking about substantive discussions and, things are going well. We need to see more than that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think this is good for Canada? Do you think this is bad for Canada? Do you think that Carney is just a bumbling idiot? Let me know where you guys stand. As always, if you haven't yet already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye for now.